One of the ways we first learn to move when we're, infants or toddlers is by crawling. And the cross crawl pattern, as it's known, is one way that not only do we learn to move, but one way that our brain develops. Because as we walk, as you know, the left and right sides need to coordinate movement with our brain. So the most effective rehab exercises and movements typically have to do with us locomoting in some way, whether it's crawling, whether it's walking backwards, coordinating upper and lower extremity movements, your arms and legs. Many of us have heard of exercises such as the dead bug, where we will be in this type of position. We've also heard of exercises such as the bird dog, where you will be in almost an identical position and back to that quadruped from a previous video. I want to focus today, right now, on the bird dog, and I want to break down a couple of progressions and regressions with which we can go forward. Many of us are going to start right at the first level, and I myself love to go back to the very first level of the bird dog in order to make sure I've ingrained those positive movement patterns. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look like, again, with the quadruped position. I want you to think about, if you're looking at me from straight on, let's do that. There is a clear box here between my hands and my knees. So my shoulders are directly over the top of my wrists, my hips are over the top of my knees, and my shoulders are active. I'm pushing the ground away like that. Okay, from the side angle, it'll look very, very similar. Neutral, like a box. Many of us will begin the bird dog, which looks something like this. And when they do it, we'll just kind of throw one leg up and throw one arm up, and our spine is getting very loose and very dynamic. Generally speaking, the strongest spine in movement, in weightlifting, the strongest spine is a static spine. If I'm hinging, if I'm squatting, if I'm pressing a barbell, any kind of movement, whether it's a hinge, whether it's let's pretend I'm standing up and I'm doing a strict press, whether I'm pressing the bar overhead, or even pretend this is a pull-up bar and I'm pulling myself up. The strongest spine will be one that doesn't move. When your spine moves under load, it becomes more dangerous. It can still be safe, but it becomes riskier. We want to use these rehab exercises, such as the bird dog or the dead bug, to minimize risk in movement, to strengthen our spine in the static position. So let's be very virtuous and very diligent with how we move through these rehabs so we can set those personal bests and those records in whatever sport, weightlifting, mountain biking, skiing, whatever it is you love to do. Let's use these to allow you to get further in those, okay? So let's be very virtuous. We're gonna do first progression. I want you to think about maintaining a nice braced core and simply moving one leg. You're not gonna move both sides. Bracing and dragging one leg back, squeezing the tush, meanwhile keeping the core locked in, not extending the back in that position like that. Staying locked in, okay? So what you're gonna look like is something like this. I'm backing up a bit so you can see. Dragging one leg, keeping the toe on the ground, squeezing the tush. And then switch other side. Doing each leg for 5 repetitions. You guessed what's next, the arm. Lifting one arm and back down. Lifting one arm, back down. Over time, as it gets easier to synchronize, I want you to think about opposite arm and legs. The next step will be to connect the left leg to the right hand, but I don't want you to lift either up off the ground. Hold, feel the bracing, return to start position. Return to start position. Stay tuned for future progressions. In that repetition with that bird dog, what I would want you to do is 5 with just the arm, each arm, 5 with just each leg unilaterally, left leg 5, right leg 5, then 5 using the left arm, right leg, and 5 using the right arm, left leg to tie those movements together. Cheers.